Good evening, young Padawans and Padawins. It is Monday night, and you know what that means. This week, two Ewoks in the Park return again for episode 6 of season 3 of The Mandalorian. It has been epic, and it's only going to get better. Get your favorite beverage, be it an adult beverage or a kiddie beverage, something to snack on, sit back and relax, because the redneck, that's me, and the geek, that's him, are going to walk you through this episode. Sully, it's all yours.
Oh, why, thank you, sir. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Two Ewoks in the Park, where we want to talk about everything Star Wars because we can.
I want to talk about me, want to talk about, I want to talk, never mind.
Yeah, just like
Sorry.
Before we break it down, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is exactly that. A very large elephant known as Star Wars. Yes, because currently right now, Star Wars Celebration is kicked off in Europe. And holy crap. And I mean holy crap.
Yeah.
Whew. Yikes.
A whole lot of shit going on. That's all we're going to say.
I can't keep up.
Even with updates from me, he can't keep up.
Yeah, and I'm hitting them before JT's even getting them, but I missed them today, which stinks because I'm usually on top of it. But holy crap.
Folks, the Star Wars universe is nowhere near dead.
No.
Nowhere near it. No freaking where near it.
No way in hell is it near dead.
Star Wars universe will be a huge thing for our grandkids.
Yes, which I like. I like that.
I do too.
I like that. Obviously, the first part of the elephant in the room is Return of the Jedi. Actually, is 40 this year. 40 years old. Return of the Jedi. Crazy.
Damn.
That was the first movie
crazy.
I ever saw in the movie theater. So clearly, Star Wars is big with me.
Star Wars is old.
Star Wars is getting up there. I mean, Return of the Jedi is 40. So, whoo. Yikes.
So that makes what? The original Star Wars about 45 or 42 or something like that?
Well, in, I believe, 2027, it should be 50. The original release of A New Hope. So theaters around the country are re-releasing Return of the Jedi for the 40th anniversary. So holy crap. One of my main things that I commented on Industrial Light and Magic's Facebook page was, yes, but is it going to be the original theatrical version? Which a lot of people agreed with me on. And don't get me wrong. The special editions are fine. The extra editions, the special effects, all that stuff, that's fine. I got nothing wrong with that. But the original theatrical release is really what's turning 40, you know?
Right.
So that's being re-released. And a lot of people only know about the special editions. That's all they grew up with. Unlike your JT and myself, we grew up with the originals. And on that shelf behind me, in alphabetical order, starts with all the Star Wars. Actually, I think it's the second shelf over. But I do have the original theatrical release of Star Wars on DVD, because that is what I asked for my birthday one year. And it just so happens that it was the same year that my wife and I were starting to date, and she's the one that bought it for me. So the fact that she fed into my Star Wars geekdom and bought me those, I knew she was a keeper.
Oh, that's funny.
Just putting it out there.
So she bought that for you, and you said, yep, she's a keeper.
She's a keeper. She's a keeper.
She's a keeper.
So that's elephant in the room number 1. Elephant in the room number 2 is the announcement of 9 new movies. 3 of which will take place 25,000 years before A New Hope. 25,000 years before. Ancient times when it comes to the Jedi.
Now remember, A New Hope is the original Star Wars.
Yes.
Just just in case there's somebody listening who doesn't know.
Yes.
Because every time I hear or see A New Hope, my brain goes, huh? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So either way, the whole Skywalker saga, this thing is going to take place 25,000 years before. And it's about the first person to wield the Force. So that's going to be interesting. Then they went and announced, because why not, 3 movies that will be directed by Dave Filoni, taking place in the same time period at the same time as The Mandalorian. So awesome right there. Will it have Din Djarin? Who knows? They're not Mandalorian movies. They're just 3 new movies. And then we have 3 more movies that will star Daisy Ridley as Rey and the New Jedi Order after The Rise of Skywalker, 15 years after that. Not to mention, Ahsoka is being released in June, I believe, on Disney Plus. So obviously 2 Ewoks in the park will be right there. And we have Andor season 2 coming when I think it's later this year, right? Probably around the holiday season is when it's going to get released.
Right.
Then they also announced Bad Batch season 3, which will come out next year. They just finished season 2, and damn, was it good. But oh my God. I called it when we saw Zeb in last week's episode.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see a lot of the Rebels cast in Ahsoka. The Ghost. So if you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, you need to start watching it before Ahsoka, because the characters alone have a backstory. I think it's like 4 or 5 seasons of of Rebels. Catch up now, because whoa, it's gonna be great. Admiral Thrawn is back. Woohoo! And it just so happens it's the same guy who does the voice of Admiral Thrawn playing Admiral Thrawn. So yeah, it's gonna be
there you go.
Freaking tastic is what it's gonna be. Now, with that all being said, that's the elephant in the room. There's still more being released at the Star Wars Celebration 23 over in Europe.
They're not done yet.
No, they're not done. So, yay. Lot of stuff happening just from the last weekend. Holy crap. So, we fast forward now. We'll probably talk more about some stuff later. We'll show the Ahsoka trailer tomorrow during the Sully show during the trailer park. We will do that next week, tomorrow. So tune in, and we'll go from there.
If we get far enough into the show to do that.
That's true, because we also have the soda tasting that we have, and
the food tasting that Echo has added to it.
Yes, so it should be interesting to say the least. So busy.
I'm praying
times.
Amazon is late.
Knowing your luck, you'll be the first to get it. So let's go. Let's get right into it. We're going to do it real quick, because obviously we just lost 10 minutes of the podcast, but it's time for Chapter 22, Guns for Hire. Yes, Mandalorian. What is this? Episode 6, right?
Episode 6.
Episode 6,
so,
Chapter 22.
Season 22.
Yes, Season 22.
Yes.
Season 22. For some reason, your screen keeps going bleh, and I don't like it.
Me neither. I like to be seen.
Which means
I don't get to be seen very often.
I'm gonna move my notes over to the other
So
screen.
while you're playing with that, so we start the episode out with this interesting looking ship making its way through space.
Ah, yes, yes.
And they flash to the inside, and there's what looks like a giant aquarium with a person in it.
Yes.
And my first thought was, because like back in A New Hope, when Luke got really beat up, they put him in the water tank, and the medical robots heal him and all that good crap.
Yes.
That's what popped in my head.
That's called the Bacta tank.
Right. But then this guy walks in with a freaking fish in a martini glass and pours it in the top of it, and she eats it. She eats the fish. So there you go.
And I yummy.
And Sully, take it from there.
Well, I'm still working.
Oh, you're still working. So,
Yes,
her navigator says that she's found a way around the Trask security zone.
Yes.
And my assumption is that she is trying to get home. But then they find they find a Imperial ship. I note the word Imperial, because if you remember, the Empire's dead. The Empire's gone.
Yes. They're gone.
But they have an Imperial ship on their scanners. And, the lady says, hail their captain. And the fish tank goes away. Which I thought was pretty cool. The fish tank it was like a periscope on a submarine.
But did you notice that she was completely dry?
Yes. The only place that water dripped from was the bottom of the chair.
Yes.
On that, which was, I mean, I can see the uniform staying dry because they probably have created specialized material for that kind of thing. Because obviously these people kind of live in water or have to be in water.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and the thing goes down, and she hails the other ship, and she's like, "Hey, sorry, we didn't know that there were pirates in the area, and that we had to pay a bounty to be able to get through." And they're like, "We're not bad guys.
We're not evil people, but we can be if we want to be."
Right. And she says, "Well, no disrespect was meant. We didn't realize that there was still an Imperial presence in this sector, and we would gladly accept your help."
But we're not Imperials, damn it. We're Mandalorians.
Exactly. That's when they reveal that this is the crew. If you think back, this is the crew that deserted Bo-Katan when Bo-Katan could not get the dark saber.
It was his brother.
Remember, if she lost everybody, all her followers took off, along with all the equipment that they had stolen from the Empire. So her entire fleet, which we see later on in the show, is gone, And they're like, well, she offered to pay them.
Yes.
To let them go and that kind of thing. And they're like, well, that's a really, really nice offer, and we would love to accept it.
However.
But the problem is we've already been hired.
Yeah.
By somebody else to come and recover somebody who you supposedly have taken against their will.
Yes.
Which was, I am guessing, because I didn't really go into the specifics, but it was the son of the calamari. I remembered it. The calamari emperor's kid is my guess.
Yes.
And do you want to know why I remembered calamari?
Because it's a snack.
Fish.
Fish.
Freaking fish.
That was the way that you were able to remember Mon Calamari? Yes. Fish.
That's the way I was able to remember calamari.
It doesn't have Admiral Akbar alone.
But he's a fish.
He's a fish.
He looks like a fish. And the other guy looks like a fish. So that's how I remembered calamari fish,
It's a trap.
Anyway,
It's a trap.
The kid comes walking in and goes, "No, I refuse to go. I don't want to go." And she's like, "No, you got to go." And the Mandalorian come over, and basically they were already boarding them before the people even knew what was going on.
The first thing I thought of was this was a Star Wars version of Tale of Two Star-Crossed Lovers. It's Romeo and Juliet with fish.
It's Romeo and Juliet in Star Wars years.
With fish. With fish. Well, the captain that you were referring to is her name is Captain Shoggoth.
Thank you.
Yep, Shoggoth, 2 G's.
Be glad I remembered calamari, okay?
You did a good job. You did a good job. She's a Quarren. They're the ones with tentacles for faces, and then you got the Mon Calamari. So
it's like you got an octopus hanging from their face.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So so as they understand, Wolves, who's in control, he understands that they're in love, but it's the Viceroy's son, and you gotta, come on, let's go.
I like that line for him. We know it wasn't done in malice. We know it was done out of love.
Yes.
I did like that line.
Listen, Mandalorians are warriors, but deep down, they care.
There's only one way that Mandalorians can continue to exist, or 2 ways. One, they keep finding kids on the street, and 2, they do the dirty, the dance with 2 backs, and make new ones.
But
as Sheldon likes to refer to it as.
Yeah, but as they put it, they don't want to ruin the peace between the 2 nations and the 2 worlds, 2 species, so they do what they need to do in order to take care of everything, and everybody, although not happy, goes on to live another day. They don't have to be destroyed, all that good stuff. Well, from there, we see Bo-Katan and Din Djarin and Grogu and the droids. They're all flying to Plaisir 15. Ah, yes.
Never heard of it.
You know what? Me either.
Really?
I'd never heard of it until now. Until this episode. And and don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's been around. It is on the outer rim of the galaxy, so it's near Tatooine and all of them. It's interesting to say the least. But honestly, it's the first time that this was really mentioned in Star Wars lore. So, and I've been saying this for a long time now. There are so many stories to tell in the Star Wars galaxy. I call it galaxy. You can't call it a universe because it's really not a universe. It's a galaxy. But
it's a part of the universe, so yeah, I would agree with the galaxy.
But the galaxy is huge. Huge. They've got thousands and thousands of planets that all had senators all meeting in the central portion of Coruscant, Just
think about the Queen Amidala's meeting when she went and talked to the Senate.
Yeah.
Just remember that giant ass freaking cocoon of a building that she was inside of.
Yes.
And the little floating pod, and she went out to the middle, and it spun around, and all you saw was seat after seat after seat after seat after seat. I mean, shitloads of them.
Yes.
And they're on the outer rim of all of this.
Don't forget, E.T. was there. E.T. was there. His species is a part of Star Wars now, which means everything that happened in E.T. happened during this time of Star Wars. I'm just putting it out there, just saying.
Right. They all eventually come together.
It's all there. It's all there. But this particular planet, Plaisir 15, this was kind of like a utopia. If you think about it, biodomes, droids helping humans everywhere, like
droids doing everything, humans not having to work at all.
Nope. It was a way for them to live in peace and have a very, very big ego boost. I mean, this was like, whoa, This is like the elite of the elite,
Right.
also known as Mount Olympus. Just without the gods. It's all
Yeah. You know, Mount Olympus, you could call it, the Atlantis of the universe,
It's there.
anything like that.
It's there.
What,
So-
what was the place that Thor and them, or was it not Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy went to, where Thor got, the guy said disappeared his clothes and they all went away, kind of that kind of place.
Yeah, that was in Thor Love and Thunder. But yes, very similar to that. Very similar to that. I mean, hell, they were inviting him to the orgy, for crying out loud. But that's the type of planet this was. It's one of those planets where it's very high and rich and mighty, and people don't do anything. It's like a vacation world, so to speak.
Nose up in the air and
Yeah.
just snobby little assholes.
When you take your drink, your pinky is up.
Yes. In this world, they do both pinkies.
Yes, they do both. They do both. So they arrive. They originally were going to be landing on the outskirts of the city where the other Mandalorians were, because that's where their staging was. But they took control and brought the ship to a landing pad, and they needed to see what do we call them? The queen, right? Was she a queen?
My lord and my lady.
The lord and lady of the land.
Yes. Yes.
The Duchess is what her name is. Yes. The Duchess and her husband, Captain Bombardier.
Yes.
Now, clearly when they, do their whole, okay, we're here, we're on a train, they identify him as Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, and they go, oh, Duchess wants to see us. Yay, the Duchess. So they scan everything, and they go and meet the Duchess and her husband, which just so happened to be the first of many cameos of Lizzo and Jack Black. Now, as cool as it was to see these two, I have some gripes. Not a lot, but I do have some gripes. Great for the story. The overacting, they could have dialed it down a notch.
Well, and the one thing I told you after the episode, the one thing that we talked about at all, really, about the episode was, holy crap, did they break out the star power for this episode?
Yes. Now, Mike.
I mean, Jack Black, Lizzo, I can't think of his name, but the guy that played Doc in Back to the Future, come on.
Stop. Don't go too far. Let's talk about these two first. First. I know you wanted to, but let's talk about these two first, because we're not even there yet. We're just walking into the room and they're all like, come on in, have some fun, eat, be part of our table. Yes, all high and noble and
I hope you like secretions.
Yeah, pretty much.
That line made my stomach turn.
Yeah. So, my gripes. Lizzo can't act for the life of her. Did it work in this instance?
Yes.
Yes, it did. It did work. Jack Black, on the other hand, way out there with overacting. Way out there. And listen, nothing against Jack Black. I love Jack Black. I love some of the character he plays. I love some of the way his characters are over the top. I love how some characters aren't over the top. It all depends on the director, the writing, so on and so forth. This was like up there. But, and I will say this, it also has to do, in my opinion, with his character, because his character was part of the rehabilitation program that we saw on Coruscant in the previous couple of episodes. So the question then becomes, Was Jack Black told to overact because of that, where he's like, yeah, I'm a former captain of the Imperial Army, and now I'm a rich snob when it comes to this.
Right. I think they told him to overact a little bit. Because with all the other ones, with all the other movies and stuff that he's been in, he's always been spot on with the character that he was playing.
Yes.
So I truly do think, I agree with the overacting part, but I do think that they told him to do it.
Yes. Of course, at the same time, his character was a former Imperial Facilities planning officer, so in a lot of ways, he's a party planner.
Well, that or he's a supply sergeant.
Also true.
I mean, he's the scrounger who gets the things that they need to get, and you got to be a little bit to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So,
But the good thing is, storyline wise, it helped his character help rebuild the system, bringing it to what they are: very prosperous, very elite, very stuffy up in the nose there, there's something brown there. And as we mentioned before, no human or alien or anything does any work on the planet. It is all by droid. So the reason that they're there is because they are being asked to be investigators. We want you to help us with a little problem that we're having here on the planet. We're having problems with some droids. Now, these droids are not your normal droids. No. These droids are former battle droids.
Yes, some of them are, not all of them.
Not all of them, but yes.
It was interesting to me how the rules that were put in place on this planet that, I mean, if you think about it, left them undefended planet-wise and unable to defend themselves within the domes.
Right.
Because they said not even our constables can't even carry weapons. And it's all because of Jack Black's character being a part of the amnesty program.
Yeah. So they don't have a police force, so to speak.
They don't have one at all.
Well, that's not true. That's not true. They do.
Oh yeah, they have the constables, but
they have the constables, and they also have the Mandalorians that are sitting outside their domes. That's their police force, or their military. It's a way around. It is. It's a way around. You don't want to mess with the Mandalorians anyway. Lady Death says, I did love the black R2-D2 when they first got on the planet. Yes, we'll call him an astromech droid because that's what he is.
Yes, and that's my other issue. One of my biggest issues with all of the Star Wars stuff is, when Star Wars first came out with me and you and our generation and everything, right?
Yes.
There was R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Protocol droids, astromech droids. Done.
And those were the only ones that you saw. Everything else were droids and stuff like that, but they didn't look anything like R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Oh, yeah, no, they were droids everywhere.
Now you see them all over the place.
Yes.
In different colors. You got them in silver, and you get the one in the later in the episode is this bright metallic blue, and the black one, the black R2-D2 at the landing pad and all that. It was like, oh.
But but you got to remember,
makes my mind go freaky for a minute.
But you got to remember, those are all different variations and different models of the same type of droid. That's really what it falls down to. Is you got your protocol droids and your astromech droids,
right?
And they're all different. All different.
It just makes my brain go. Yeah. It's not C-3PO.
So what happens then is, the Duchess and Mr. Bombardier there, the captain, the Duchess's husband, they want help And Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, all they want to do is just talk to the Mandalorians, but they can't do that until they get permission. So they're going to take this job. So now they're basically going to be investigators and private eyes and find out what exactly is going on. So they take the job. They take the job. I mean, really, it's the only way to do it. So when they say that the constables are ill-equipped to handle this droid problem, they go, well, why can't you send in the Mandalorians? You know, they're privateers. They can deal with the problem. They're not allowed, apparently, because of the charter.
Mhm.
The charter. And if you don't know what the charter is the charter of the New Republic, which prevents them from having some type of military force because it's a rehabilitation thing because of Jack Black's character's past. I just can't see Jack Black being an intimidating Imperial officer. I can't. I wish I could.
Well, that beard's kind of scary.
It was very bushy. His beard was out there. Out there. But it worked. It worked for the character. It did. It
Yes, it
worked
did.
for the character. So from there, they go, okay, who do we need to talk to? Well, let's go talk to the guy in control at the command center. Why not? Why not? It'll be fun. Well,
Right.
who's that? Commissioner Helgate. Or Helgat. I forget how they pronounced it. Helgate? Helgate?
Hellcat.
Helgate? Helgate.
Yep.
We'll say
Yep.
Helgate. Which comes into cameo number, actually technically number 4. We did forget the return, the silent return of Snoop Dogg's niece as a Mandalorian. And she was in Book of Boba Fett. Well, not Book of Boba Fett. She was in season 2, part of Bo-Katan's crew. And yeah. So she's back. Not a lot of speaking roles, but she's back. So there's 3, and this is the 4th cameo. The 4th cameo, Helgate himself, none other than Christopher Lloyd. And I knew his voice as soon as I heard it. I went, that's Christopher Lloyd. And
Yep.
sure enough, man, it doesn't matter who he is, who he plays it really well. He really does. That doesn't matter
To the hilt.
what role.
To the hilt. Yeah.
Carol's got to go to knitting. See you tomorrow. See you later, Carol. Enjoy. Have fun.
Hey,
And,
Carol.
He's briefing the two of them on this situation of, hey, you know, here's the security camera footage. Here's all the rogue droids that have been going kaboom. And, well, this is where we learn that nobody works.
Mm-hmm.
He don't, except for him. He works. Helgate works.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And the people that work for him.
yeah. And we see all this different footage of the droids, you know, freaking out and attacking people or, you know, dropping things, you know, causing crashes, the works. Okay. It's all happening. And Din Djarin says, well, who works on these guys? Who works on the droids?
Mhm.
If nobody works, who does it? And that's when Helgate explains that the droids do all of the work on the system except for the Ugnaughts. Well, folks, we all know Ugnaughts, don't we?
Just one simple line will tell you who they are if they're not clicking in your head at the moment. Can I say it?
Yeah, please, by all means.
I have spoken.
That's right. Because Ugnaughts are the hardest working beings in the galaxy. They're the ones who are making the droids. They're reprogramming them. They're creating all these ships. They're doing all of the work. That's their life. That's their lifestyle. That's what they do. They are mechanical geniuses when it comes
Yes.
to the Star Wars galaxy and the
You're
story.
really, really smart.
It really is. And
Well,
it's funny because they're taking their turbolift down, and Din Djarin flat out tells Bo-Katan, "Listen, These are Ognaughts. Maybe we should do it my way. Just hear me out. I'll let you do your way, but let me do it my way. So they finally get down to where they go, and Bo-Katan's doing the whole I'm in charge thing. None of them are listening to her. None of them. Not one. So finally, Din Djarin introduces himself and says he is a friend of Ognaught Quill.
Yep.
Tells them that he needs to assist in answering the questions and says, I have spoken. And all of a sudden, they just stopped. They stopped and sat down.
That's like saying the meeting is now in order. You know.
Here we go, folks. Well, the thing is, and this was something really cool that I noticed. So while they were sitting there, Bo-Katan was still doing the I'm the bad cop type of routine. I'm in charge, not him. Listen to me. I'm asking the questions. And they're just like, they're not even listening to her. Flat out says, these droids are bad. They're not being programmed right. They're hurting people. They're doing things that they're not supposed to be. And you guys are at fault. And the Ognaughts are just like, excuse me?
There are no computers or no robots having issues. No problems at all. They are working fine.
None of their stuff is broken. Then Din Djarin goes on to say, you're right. None of your stuff are broken. However, we do have reports that droids are malfunctioning. What could possibly be the issue? Tell us. How can you help us? And they go on and on. You know, one, they felt like they were being insulted by Bo-Katan, and Din Djarin was reversing it and saying, no, you're right. You know, no, you guys are the best of the best. This is why we're coming to you for help. And they decide they pass like some type of disc over to the two of them of all the droids that they've worked on, especially the ones that malfunctioned.
Yeah. Basically, he handed them an iPod, or not an iPod, but an iPad with a list of bad robots.
Yes. Check them out. Here's where they go, so on and so forth. Din Djarin thanks them for hosting them.
Bo-Katan gives Din Djarin a dirty look.
Yep. They go on their merry way.
Once she did, a little side eye going on there,
Yeah, they go on their merry way. Which brings us to, it was one of those, what was it? One of the loading docks, right? It was a loading dock?
Yeah, it was at the loading dock. Yep.
Yeah. So they get to a loading dock, and Bo-Katan's talking to this former battle droid. And the other battle droid's like, no, this isn't right. And Din Djarin's kicking the shit out of every droid that walks by him.
What's that, Koshari, who has popped in the chat room this evening? Great to see ya.
What's up, my dear? How are ya? So I loved that he was just jumping and kicking him.
Well, and the robot's like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. And he's like, well, if they're properly reprogrammed, this won't affect them. And like the first two or three that he kicked, they got knocked off path, but they straightened back up and went back on the path.
Yeah.
Well, then he kicked the fourth one.
Kicks the fourth one, and
he gets the shit knocked out of him.
Oh, he goes flying. Flying.
Yeah, he flew a good 5-6 foot.
Yeah, give or take, So now an old school running through the streets chase happens, and I'm like, this is a cop show right now. This is great. this,
Right.
this is good cop, bad cop, and it's wonderful. And they finally get to the part where, you know, they're chasing through the streets. They get separated. Bo-Katan's following him. Din Djarin's going through store buildings, restaurants, hallways, alleys, back doors. It was amazing. It was a chase, you know. And then they finally take him out and do what they need to do. And it's amazing how fast a crime scene went up when they finally caught him.
Instantaneously.
It was just like, this is a crime scene.
As soon as they took the droid down, those 4 robots came rolling out, and boom, the police, you know, the crime scene's all taped out. But the thing I liked, because you keep making reference to westerns in space.
It is a western.
Think about how many times in a western you've seen a guy go through a window to tackle a guy.
Right through the saloon window.
Yep.
I just paid for that.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
It was old school. It was old school. I loved it. So clearly we're at the point now where a crime scene tape is all around. You hear them saying, this is a crime scene. This is a crime scene. And a spark pad falls out of the droid, and they pick it up, and they find that it's to a bar called the Resistor. So they decide, let's go take a look. Let's go take a look. And that's where, you know, we find out that the Resistor is a bar for droids. Who knew? Who knew that the droids like to kick back and have a drink?
Right?
Because I didn't. It's all new to me.
I never fathomed it.
Any other time you see a bar or a place that hosts scum and villainy, droids aren't allowed in there. They're not allowed in there. We don't serve their kind here. Well, now they've got a bar that serves droids. It's wonderful. At least I thought it was wonderful. But
oh yeah, it was cool.
This is where more good cop, bad cop comes into play. And it's funny because Bo-Katan tells Din Djarin, let me do the talking. I'm going to disagree with your methods because, you know, you made this droid run all over town and we had to, you know, kind of do what we need to do. But let me do the talking, you know? They walk in and it's like a pin drops. All the droids turn and look at the door. And I'm like, that's the cliche entering the bar, you know? Yo, you in the wrong place at the wrong time, boy.
Right.
That's what I got out of it. I mean, think about it. Every single movie, doesn't matter what it is. If it's a comedy and it's 2 white guys walking into an all black bar, it's like, yo, man, you're going to get fucked up. Or you walk, or like in Police Academy. And yes, I'm saying this because this is what happens in movies.
Right.
Flat out, this is the truth. It doesn't matter race or anything like that. That's the cliche. You walk into a bar, everybody turns and looks at you, and the pin drops. Okay? Or you hear, that's what you hear. That's what you hear. Okay? So in this case, it's droids. Now, I will say this. Have you ever been to Disney World?
So long ago that I don't remember, but.
Okay, but you remember the original Star Tours, right?
No.
You don't? Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Watch the scene again. The minute they start scanning the bar, there are so many different droids in there.
Oh, yeah.
One of which is the droid that runs Star Tours. And there's like 3 or 4 of them, all the same. And I'm saying to myself, Star Tours! They finally made him into a freaking show or a movie. Yes! Like, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I love it. I love it. So, while they're in there, the bartender is, does the whole innocence thing. Does the whole, hey, I'm innocent, man. You got nothing on me, copper.
Right.
Got nothing on me. Well, Din Djarin decides, okay, I'm going to be the bad cop this time. Raises a tool and threatens to remove his memory circuit if he doesn't cooperate. Other droids, like, whoa, wait a second, man. One even tries to escape, and he points and goes, nobody leaves. Nobody leaves.
Because the shiny blue C-3PO that I was talking about was trying to walk out.
Yep, he was trying to get out the door. So Bo-Katan is now trying to reason with Din Djarin, going, relax. Now, if you haven't noticed, Din Djarin doesn't like droids. He doesn't. We know he doesn't. He's mentioned that he doesn't. He's had too many droids try to kill him. One of which, his former bounty hunter partner that saved his life when he got reprogrammed, but also just tried to kill him in the beginning of the season. So, they get to the part where, let's assume that the bar is not the issue. Let's just paint the picture. And then the bartender offers to help Din Djarin find the suspicious of the droid. And he tells them that the droids are anxious they're going to be replaced by humans. And I get it. Oh, Kashiri's got to go. Love you.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah,
Be safe.
I liked his speech. I liked the speech that this robot gave.
Yes.
And it made a lot of sense if you really sit down and listen to what he's talking about.
Yes.
It makes a lot of sense. And one of the lines that I really liked was towards the end of the speech when he said something along the lines of, humans have such a short lifespan. They created us. This is the least that we could do.
Right.
For them. I thought that was really cool. Really cool.
Which again was phenomenal. Because it just goes to show you that in this fictional galaxy, droids do actually have feelings.
Yes, they have advanced to that point.
And it's one of those things that it shows that the droids have evolved over the years, which is good. So what they do is they go into the back office and they go through and they match the card up to what that droid had to drink.
With all of the droids that have gone drink.
Yeah. And
drink. Well, it was funny because she goes, "Is there, do you have a list of what these droids have ordered?" And he's like, "Well, it's not like that. They only get one thing here."
Yes.
So.
Yes. And it's what was it? It was called Nepenthe. I think that is what they called it, Nepenthe, where any droid that drinks it or puts it into their system, it helps protect them against normal wear and tear,
and helps to to fix their programming.
Right. It keeps their programming up. It does all these things to help them. Where this is where they find that Nepenthe had some subparticles in it, but they didn't know what it was. So they decided that they were going to go and find out. And they get to a lab and they go, to the lab tech, here, test this. Test this and let's see what's going on. And you can see with the droids that are in the room, not bad. You know, they extract it, they put it in the system, they're testing it, and they find out that it's nanodroids. Nanodroids are reprogramming these droids. And Din Djarin, without missing a beat, says, great. Does it have any lingering effects? And the droid in the room just active? Goes berserk.
Yeah. Lost its friggin' mind.
Yeah.
That one reminds me of the automated system on Wall-E.
Yep.
The automated robot that kept that did everything with the ship and everything because the captain was too fat to do anything.
Sure, the assistant captain.
Yeah, it reminded me of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, hands down. Hands down. And they found out that it was some type of chain code and everything else that led to these nanodroids reprogramming the droids to freak out, start attacking, go back and revert to their original programming. But they also say that the nanobots did not go through, what was it? It didn't go through droid acquisitions. I guess in Star Wars they have droid acquisitions where every... Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the order for this or for the Nepanthan and the robots that went bad did not go through the regular channels.
Right.
So basically, they were smuggled in,
and they wanted to know how and who ordered it, which it just so happened to be Helget. The commissioner. Commissioner Helget. So they decide to go to the security office and say, hey, dude, we got you. We got you. We know it's you. Talk to us. We know it's the Nepenthe. We know you put nanobots in it. We know you're the cause of this issue. And oh, by the way, everybody else leave the room, please. It's amazing. Yeah, because he tries brushing them off and he says, you can't prove it. Does the whole thing of, hey, who's going to run this place? And Bo-Katan says, listen, you can either come with us or not. You ain't getting out of here because there's only one way out and we're in your way. So he goes on this whole big rant of how he never surrendered to the Republic and he never surrendered to the Empire and that he was a part of the Separatist Union and that Count Dooku is right and all this other good stuff. And Kreese just shoots him with an electro dart and knocks him out.
The Star Wars version of a taser.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, those bolts, those darts, they can pop a zing. So as they shock him, obviously they arrest him and do whatever they need to do. And outside, the Duchess and her husband and Grogu are playing a game. A bunch of other people. And it's wonderful. And Grogu's kind of cheating a little bit, helping the Duchess do whatever she needs to in order to win.
Mm-hmm.
Without her really knowing it, because he's just standing there on the floor using the Force and controlling the ball, which is really cool. So, yeah, they bring Helget out and they say, well, here you go. Here's your guy. And the Bombardier, was it? Bombardier condemns his actions, right? And then what is it? Oh, he Helget responds with calling him slimy or something like that. I forget the actual term that he used.
Basically, it was, yeah, look who's, it's the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah, pretty.
It was an imperialistic version of the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah. So from there, obviously they banish him. They banish him to one of the outer moons of the system, because that is where he needs to be. It's where he needs to be, according to them. They don't want him on the planet, and Helget blames them for the way the planet looks and how it's no longer what it used to be, and so on and so forth. So they say, "Begone with him! Begone!" And they bestow upon Bo-Katan and Din Djarin the key to Plazir. It's a literal key. It's their highest honor. Good for them. Here you go. Here you go. Enjoy. Which in turn gives them the right to go and speak to the Mandalorians. Which
she did one more thing. Did one more thing.
Please.
She made Grogu a knight.
That's true. She did.
She knighted Grogu.
And this is the first.
And this is the first time that I can recall that you actually see Grogu wave goodbye to somebody.
Yes. Over the shoulder.
Actually, as Din Djarin's walking away, Grogu actually reaches his hand out and goes,
"Bye-bye."
That's so friggin' cute. And I love how, she asked if they could hold the baby, and Din Djarin's like, "Oh, he's not too good about that." And she holds up a little
food,
basically a sardine.
Food.
And Grogu goes, "What?"
Grogu likes food.
I almost fell out of my chair when that happened.
Grogu likes food. So
anyway, he gives them permission to go speak to their security forces.
Yep, they're the Mandalorians on the outskirts of the city there, right outside the dome. Please, by all means, go forth, be merry. And as the three of them arrive, whoo, boy, let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Sibling rivalry.
And I like the conversation that Din Djarin and Bo-Katan had on the way there.
Yeah. Sibling rivalry.
Din Djarin's like, well, what are you going to do? And she's like, I'll figure it out when I get there.
Yeah. What do you
It's really all she could do,
So, while they're there, I mean, really, this is the best way to put it. It's sibling rivalry, to be honest. And
kind of, pretty much, yeah.
It's sibling rivalry because, let's face it, Woves is interesting, an interesting fellow. Interesting fellow indeed. Yes, well, yes, I mean, I don't want to say he's stubborn. I really don't. I don't want to say he's stubborn.
Kaya nailed it. It's a pissing contest.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But he was also one of Bo-Katan's right-hand man.
Yeah, he was one of the top ranking officers within her group before they all deserted her.
Yes,
and he took over when they did.
Also helped with the resistance, helped the old Republic with the Clone Wars, and there's a lot of history, and they don't really get a very warm welcome when they show up.
No, they don't get a welcome at all.
And
really,
Bo-Katan challenges Woves.
Mm-hmm.
Kicks the shit out of him. I mean, really, that's the best way I can put it. The two of them fight so hard
Yeah, they both beat the crap out of each other, and
Yeah.
Bo-Katan just happened to get the last move.
You know, wrist rockets, using their jetpacks, punch and kick and throw, and they're up on the ship. They're down on the ground.
Flamethrowers.
You know, the whipcords. Yeah, they used pretty much whatever they had in their arsenal is what they used.
The only thing they didn't use was the whistling sparrows.
True, they did not use those.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's one of the neatest weapons they have.
True, but the best part is Din Djarin and Grogu are just watching like, oh boy. And Grogu's just sitting there in his little hovercraft there, just, you know, this is great. Flamethrowers are being used. You know, they're basically just knocking the crap out of each other. And by the time all was said and done, Bo-Katan was literally on top of Wolves with a knife to his throat. Are you done yet? Like, are you done yet? Because I just wiped the floor with you. Yeah. And he did. He yielded. But he also made a very good point of how she is not the ruler of Mandalore. She does not have the dark saber. He's
the one you should be challenging.
Yes. And that's, now mind you, if you remember, he flat out told her he did not want the dark saber. Din Djarin doesn't want it. He never wanted it.
He tried to give it to her before.
Which cannot be passed on, which is not true.
Right.
Not entirely true, because it was passed down from generation to generation of the ruling families of Mandalore. It is.
Right.
But anybody can challenge for it. And if anybody challenges for it and beats the wielder of it, they become the ruler of Mandalore. That's the rules. That's the rules.
They become the owner of the black saber.
Right. Now,
which means
Din Djarin said the coolest thing, which is true. Din Djarin was beat in battle. He lost the dark saber.
Yep.
That big robot thing that took him was the wielder of the dark saber. And Bo-Katan kicked the living shit out of that.
Even though it didn't know.
Right.
At the time that it was the wielder of the dark saber.
But that's because they don't know the old ways of Mandalore. So, as Din Djarin said to all of the Mandalorians, including Wolves, as she defeated his victor of battle, therefore she is the rightful wielder of the dark saber.
Well, and I like the way he did it, though.
Yes.
I like the way that he said it, because he said it very, very extremely diplomatically.
Yes.
He says, she defeated the one that defeated me.
Yes.
Does this not make her the rightful owner of the dark saber?
And
everybody's just kind of looking at him like they're stupid. And he asks again, does this not make her the rightful owner?
Yep.
And finally, the guy that she fought goes, yes. And this was what was cool to me, was as soon as that guy said yes, they automatically snapped to another guy who went to attention.
Yep.
As soon as he said that, boy, that other dude said, and you saw all the other ones kind of stiffen up too.
Yep. And Din Djarin
is your second respect.
And Din Djarin gave her the dark saber, and she activated it, and they all boom.
Can I make a slight correction?
Yeah.
He returned
True.
The saber to her.
He returned it.
And the only reason I say that is because there is a difference between giving and returning. Because technically, she gave it back to him when they were still in the mines.
Yes.
Because, either he didn't think of it or she didn't think of it, or they just, kept the status quo. But when it came time, he returned the weapon to her.
Yes. She didn't think of it.
Yeah, and it was the way they did that whole thing
Worked perfect.
was, yeah, it did. It was perfectly laid out, and the ending was amazing. The ending scared me though.
Why do you say that?
Because of the look on Bo-Katan's face as she was holding the dark saber. There was just something, and I've said it the whole time, there's something about her I don't trust. I've said this since she became a main character in the Mandalorian series in season 2. There's something about her I just don't trust.
So you can trust her, and the only reason being is everything that's happened in the past with her. And and again, Clone Wars, Rebels, it's all there. It's all there. You know? Yes. Lady Death says agreed, it's a look of betrayal, but nah, there's more to it than that, because as a character, she has grown from being part of Death Watch and a Night Owl and a real royal Mandalorian. She has grown as a person.
I think the biggest change, and you know, that I trust her more now than I did before.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why.
Why?
It is because of how everything has gone and everything that she has done since she rescued Din Djarin and saw the Mythosaur.
Yes.
Well, I won't say everything, but a whole lot about her and her persona and the way she acted and the things that she did and didn't do up to this point has shown that, yeah, she grew a lot with everything that she went through when she was younger and as a child and as part of the other forces and all that good stuff. The biggest change has been since she saw the Mythosaur.
Oh, yeah, hands down.
Because you pointed out, she never took her freaking helmet off. She didn't take her helmet off again from the time that she was in the water until the armor told her to.
Yep. And said.
So, and at first, she was following Din Djarin's advice of, if you leave your helmet on, things will be easier for you.
Yes.
For a very short period of time there, she kept it on for that reason. But eventually it transitioned in her to she kept it on because that was the way of the Mandalorian.
Yes.
So, like I said, I trust her a little bit more than I did. But there's still a look on her face that made me very uneasy.
I wouldn't look too much into it.
I'll put it that way. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't look too much into it because.
Well, I'd be happy if it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I do like her character a lot more now than I did before.
So before we give our rating, because we do have to end the show, before we give our rating, as of right now, there are a lot of people out there that are complaining about this season of The Mandalorian. Mostly because it's centering around Mandalorians.
Isn't that what it's supposed to be?
Yes. This season was supposed to be all about getting Mandalore back. So you're going to be having stories all about Mandalorians, Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, Paz Vizsla, all of them.
Mm-hmm. Paz Vizsla. You almost said it that way.
I did. The Mandalorian. I'm sorry. The writing is amazing.
It is. I've said it from episode 2 of this season.
Yeah.
That this is the best season of The Mandalorian to date.
Now, with that being said, JT and I are in full agreement. This particular episode, because I have gripes, I do. I have gripes. People agree with me. Some people don't. It's entirely up to you. My main gripes, although they are welcomed, Lizzo and Jack Black, although they are welcomed, directing, Bryce Dallas Howard is an amazing director. She really is. She's amazing. I love her take on things. I love her views. I love the way she directs. It's amazing. Putting that aside, I am giving this episode 3.75. The scenes with Lizzo and Jack Black kind of brought the episode down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the good cop, bad cop scene. I love that whole Bo-Katan and Din Djarin being good cop, bad cop. I did. And going back and forth between who's going to be the good cop, who's going to be the bad cop. That was fantastic. That part of the story I loved.
Yeah, there's very good chemistry between those two.
The elitism, the snobby portion of things, that whole part of the story, it reminded me a little bit of Alice in Wonderland to an extent. Like, hey, she's the queen off with their heads, but she's very nice, you know?
Right.
It does tie to the whole rehabilitation thing that the Republic was doing. So I get it. Like, maybe they just fried his brain too much. Not sure. Christopher Lloyd, phenomenal. Loved him. Loved his character. Not much to do, but I loved the character. And I love that they tied him to the separatist movement. I love that they tied him to Count Dooku.
Right.
I do love that part. Lizzo and Jack Black kind of brought it all down. And again, it's nothing against the two of them. Personally, Lizzo, stick to singing or whatever it is you do. Jack Black, he's over the top as it is no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So you get what you get with him, which is fine because, again, I do love some of the Jack Black stuff. I do. I love his work. He does have a range, but that range is very limited. I love his voice acting. His voice acting is stellar.
Top notch.
His voice acting is stellar, especially since he was just in the Super Mario Brothers movie as Bowser. But again, that's not what we're judging him on right now. We're judging him on the way he portrayed the character, which to me really does tie back to the whole rehabilitation thing that the Republic is doing to get these former Imperial officers and soldiers back into society. So maybe they just, two screws loose and did whatever.
And
so,
if you look closely, you do see the amnesty program badge on his uniform.
You do.
If you look closely.
You do see it. Absolutely. So I loved the cameos. I loved the robot cameos, especially seeing the one from Star Tours in there multiple times. I do love that. I love that they used the old battle droids from the separatist army and all of that. I did. I loved all of that. It was good. Yep. But to me, the episode was 3.75. 3.75 Mandalorian helmets. Done.
Nikaya also gives it 3.75 for her, also for the same reasons, and not a fan of the Lord and the Lady.
Yeah. So what do you give it, my friend?
I'm going to throw something at you guys that you might not have considered.
Okay.
And I'll try to do it quickly because I know we got to shut down.
Yes.
When it comes to the Lord and the Lady.
Yes.
In the Star Wars episodes throughout the seasons, the one thing we know, one thing we see when it comes to the upper echelon, the top-notch, the high ritzy folks that this planet is all about, they are all extremely eccentric.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And to be the leaders of an extremely eccentric group of people, what do you have to be? Extremely eccentric, which is exactly what these two characters are. In my opinion, they did not bring the episode down. They accented the point of just how absurd the upper crust can be, especially in that time.
All right, I'll give you that one.
Okay, so just a different way of looking at it. I'm with you. I'm with you with both of you guys. I'm at 3.75. Great episode. I love the cameos. I think for the roles that they played, Lizzo and Jack Black, and I can never think of his name, but the guy that played Doc were awesome for the roles that they were enlisted to play. They played them to a T, no doubt in my mind. The use of the old battle droids and the battle bots and all that. Just this entire episode was awesome. The screen chemistry with the bad cop, good cop, and all that as they were doing their investigation and everything was great. The fact that Dinjarin actually used the Darksaber to destroy something,
it was pretty cool.
Was amazing. It was amazing. Of the 6 episodes that we've seen to this point, this is my second favorite episode.
Second favorite episode. Okay. All right.
Second favorite episode of the 6 that we've seen.
All right. I'll give you that.
So there you go. 3.75 across the board this week. There you go.
Yeah. Wow. Look at that. That's.
Nakia real quick says, I do not care for the acting of the two, or did not care for the acting of the two. I agree with the thought of needing to be over the top. Just did not like their acting, which I agree. Lizzo, I agree. You need to stick to, maybe small cameo TV appearances and stuff like that, playing a major role in a series like this. I just don't think it's for you, dear. You're an amazing singer and performer and all that. Just don't think this is in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, me either. Just putting it out there. All right, guys. That is the end of this week's two Ewoks in a pirate. Wow. Holy crap.
Two Ewoks and a pirate?
Yeah, something. I went the whole show, and then it is what it is.
2 Ewoks and a pirate. The pirate is Nakia.
There you go. So, that is our episode for this week of 2 Ewoks in the Park, where we're talking about The Mandalorian, Chapter 22. We have 2 episodes left, by the way. 2 episodes left. And then, and I stress the then, we get a little bit of a break for 2 Ewoks in the Park, because this summer, Ahsoka will be coming out. It's going to be wonderful. Just putting it out there.
Just saying.
So if you haven't watched Star Wars Rebels, you might want to start watching them. Catch up, because you're going to need...
Nakia says, I can be a pirate.
Army matey. So, with that being said, for JT and myself, please tune in tomorrow for the Sully Show, because Western Echo will be with us, and the 3 of us will be tasting 4, yes, that's right, 4 wonderful flavored sodas that we have no idea what the flavors are, but it'll be interesting.
And some kind of an edible.
And some kind of a food, yes. We'll see what happens with that one. But it's going to be great. So make sure you lock it in tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. Please post it on your social media. I'm going to post it on the Facebook page and all that other good stuff. We're going to do what we need to do in order to have some fun. So with that being said, for JT and myself, this has been 2 Ewoks in the Park. We will see you guys next time. Have a great night, everybody. Yep. That's what we're going to do. A great night.